I don't want to touch this anymore. Spatchcocked everything open. Now what have I done? Also, are mermaids cryptids? Oh, hi. Welcome to Sewing Your Studios. I'm Jo, and this week you get to watch me fall in and then out of love with a project. I just did a huge studio overhaul, right? I got all of my fabric in its own little library back here, and it's been great. And I was reminded of a lot of materials that I have, including this purple cotton that I had for a Rohan Kashibe cosplay that I just never found design inspiration that struck me. Not that I can't do anything with it and revisit that, but like... So the purple isn't even the right color for the vibes I was going with for the outfit I was doing, which is not Rohan Kashibe themed, who's a character from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, if you are unfamiliar. Forgot I had this fabric laying around because it was hidden away in a cosplay bin, which meant it was out of sight, out of mind, and I just didn't think about it for however many years since I watched whatever episodes he was in. The thing I was going for with this project, specifically because of the lace, because it's such a specific shade of seafoam green, was Dr. Frankenfurter from Rocky Horror Picture Show. I actually made this cosplay. It's just a lab coat with a couple accessories, including the little gauntlets, if you will, and then a little wooden bead pearl necklace. These are the dish gloves, and they're not even the right... He just has pink dish gloves, but these are purple. So my inspiration for the purple in the outfit I've been working on wasn't even accurate to the source material, because these were just the color I was able to find. Even reviewing the materials with you, everything's starting to fall apart at the seams, quite literally. So my initial thought was crop top, bodice. I didn't even get to the skirt. We're just talking about the top today. And on my hey, these are techniques you should try, or this is a type of project you should work on list, I had do a lace crop top. Adding the lace layer went well. Honestly, it went easier than I thought. But okay, I'm getting out ahead of myself. This pattern, I've used it many times before. Butterick 6453. It's one of the patterns by Gertie. I was gonna go for more this bee design, which was the first one I ever made, and I hated how it looked that first time. But I think a shorter underlayer with a lace overlay would have made me like that shape skirt. Pastels aren't a thing I like to wear, so I have no reason to continue this project, is where I'm at right now. So, this is certainly not a tutorial. Not to say I'm never going to do it again. Definitely just not with this color scheme. And I guess it was good to practice. It was good to practice. I will say that. I don't want to disregard the steps I did do, because I haven't just made a top in a long time. I've been making bags for so long, because all I do is make inventory. And I've just wanted to let myself noodle and try out costumes and be inspired by stuff instead of just what do I think will sell at this event I have coming up. The initial prep steps I did, I will be doing again whenever I do a version of this that I will actually wear, which will probably incorporate darker colors, perhaps some jewel tones. Honestly, I'm not even sure how to refer to the pieces, because I have a lining that is separate from the underlayer for what the lace went on. So that's technically a lining, right? Interlining, I suppose, is the right term. I haven't thought about this in a long time, but that was the term we used at the costume shop. I also did understitching, which I also haven't done in quite a while. I think I learned that from Tilly in the Buttons book, though. Cut out the interlining, we'll call it, of the purple, just to get a general idea. It's been a long time since I've made this dress. Bodies change. It's been years since I've done one, I think. So I wanted to start bigger and then fine tune as we went. I could have also just tried on some of the crop tops or dresses I've made with that pattern and seen if the alterations I did the first go round were still accurate, if those still fit well. That probably would have been a better solution. Perhaps I need to rewatch. I think it's literally called making my dream dress. So I cut out the interlining pieces of the purple to a T. Then I took the lace, and because it's a little stretchy, I just cut slightly bigger. I didn't cut it precise because I didn't want to have to deal with everything being super finicky. And it's all floppy and thin fabric, so save yourself the headache if you're stacking a bunch of layers together. Because I basted around the edge of the purple and then I clipped the lace down instead of cutting everything all the way down for every layer and then trying to stitch it all. Made sure the correct layers were facing out because you can see the interlining through the lace. Right sides were both facing out. This is a princess seam dress, so make sure you're notching when you're cutting out the pattern piece, because there's certain parts of the seam that need to stretch a little, and you're lining up opposite shaped curves to each other. Again, gonna save you some headaches. I don't always mark all the notches because sometimes it's just to say, hey, this is the back of the sleeve or the back of the top bodice piece, whatever. But usually that stuff's fairly obvious depending on if you have constructed this type of garment before. No judgment if you need all the notches. Those are the two that I make sure that I do, are the ones at the top and bottom of like the curviest part of the princess seam. Attached all that together. This is a kind of rare occasion I do in fact use my tailor's ham, but if you don't have one, you can ball up a towel or something that's not going to melt underneath. Hell, use a flannel shirt. You're gonna be fine. But it's a nice firm pressing surface that has a curve to it, so when I'm pressing a curved seam, you can do it pretty easily. Also, make sure you're notching the seam allowance. Getting close to, like, within 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch, depending on how much seam allowance you have and how thin and like loosely woven the fabric is. It all depends, but not snipping through the stitches. Certain seams you do kind of need to get close, but never through. You never snip over or through your stitches. Leave that line alone, but you can get up to it pretty close. But just if you're seeing fibers poking through from the right side, you went too far. And just stitch in a little bit more. You'll be fine, and redo it. You're okay. This is why mock-ups are helpful. This is basically how I'm viewing this, is a mock-up for a future project. I was kind of just practicing these methods because I hadn't flatlined a lace overlay on a fitted bodice before. I'm a little frustrated because I feel like I wasted my time and there's other stuff I want to be doing, but it's helpful to share. Not everything's gonna go well, and that's okay. I'm not beating myself up about it. We're here to learn. And isn't that great? Isn't that a cool thing to get to do? Once I got all of that stitched together, I did, you know, kind of a loose fitting. I decided I wanted to bring the seams in a little bit more. So I took them in, I don't, like another 3/4 of an inch per seam because it was a lot bigger. And I remember having to take it in significantly the first time I made this, which again, I should have tried on the dresses I've made with this pattern with the adjustments that I have in a video. I just need to rewatch my own video, which I honestly hate doing, but the information's all there. Then I decided, okay, I want a little more structure, so I'm gonna add a full lining instead of like dealing with the facing. So I made another bodice to be the lining out of the purple because I have it. Why not? I just did slightly bigger seam allowances, and I'm talking like do 1/8. This is very forgiving cotton. It's very stretchy, so I literally had wiggle room and ease, but not every fabric is going to have that. But just it's on the inside, so I just wanted it to hug in a little bit so that nothing was looking real baggy. Once I had that assembled, I also decided I wanted the back to be flat across the back instead of having the like strap attachments come up. I cut the lining kind of straight across, and then when I went to stitch the lining layer to the top of the front layer, I had like a new line to follow on those bits, and then I just cut off the extra of the outer layer. Wasn't a big deal. It probably looked scary, or maybe feels scary to some of you to be like, why are you hacking stuff up? You can just do that. If you want to like alter the shape of stuff, you can just do that. This was a good point in the process in which to do that step. So I did a small stitch across all of that. My standard stitch length is like 2.5. Where the strap was, I did back tack over it. Also, I just cut up some thin ribbon. I think it's like 1/4 inch wide, grosgrain ribbon, satin finish ribbon with like grosgrain on the underside. I don't know what you call this ribbon, but I had ribbon that matched the purple. I liked how that looked. I also did understitching, which is where you lay the garment as flat as you can. On curves like this, where the strap points come up in the front, you can't understitch all the way into those little grooves. And that's okay. It's on the inside. Nobody's gonna see it, but just get as much as you can along the curves. So I kind of spatchcocked everything open and then did a basting stitch, so like longer stitch between 4 and 5. And I made sure the seam allowance was laying towards the lining side. So when you go to flip it back out, it just wants to hide behind there so that the lining wasn't trying to peek out. And then I pressed it really well, and understitching helps pressing look nice and crisp. Ooh, I just got cold and chills, and I don't know if it's me heading for a blood pressure drop or it's the weather. Listen, one influences the other. My blood pressure doesn't influence the weather. That's not what I'm trying to apply. If only I had control over that. The barometric pressure for sure affects me. And I didn't even realize that till probably last summer. But that's a conversation for another day. Anyways, no, I am gonna need to lean on something. Everything's fine. We're fine. Nothing's gonna crash down on me, right? It's all right. We're almost done here. So I walked away from this to get all this like organization stuff done. And also one of my best friends moved across the country to come be closer to me and my sister, which is, I don't know how you get loved harder than that. And again, not a conversation for today, or I'm just gonna spend the day crying. In that downtime, I don't know, do I want a zipper? It's a lot of layers to deal with. Putting a zipper with lace, like, couldn't get myself on board with it. And I was like, well, could I ruche through multiple layers? I don't know. I kind of hate the thought of how that would look, scrunching up the lace like that, but whatever. We're thinking like casual cosplay, casual summer dress cosplay, like sundress, but nerdy shit. And I haven't ruched anything in a hot minute, so I thought it would be good practice. I have since abandoned that idea, but it has like inspired me to want to ruche something else. I think making just like a basic dress, like sundress, where it's all scrunchy in the back so I can just pull it on. That sounds lovely, just not with this material. So it's not the material's fault. It's not the material's fault. I have nothing against the seafoam green. It was a gift from one of my besties. She bought it for me in Paris, and like, again, I am loved so hard. But the combination of these, like, all I can think is Little Mermaid now that I've had time away from it, and that's just making me sad. I didn't inherit the red hair that a lot of my family has. Also, are mermaids cryptids? Do those count? Like, mermaids are from folklore, as most fantasy creatures are. Like, that's how it all starts. Are dragons cryptids? I'm thinking about too many things too hard. The moral of the story is, this has made me want to make just like a single layer, thin sundress with a ruched back. I can just pull over. Sounds very comfy and delightful. I'll pick some fun, spooky fabric that I'll actually want to wear. So things were going well for this project until calamity struck. As it does. To be fair, to give myself some credit, it doesn't strike with such a fervor and frequency as it used to. Let's just jump to the clips I filmed just a bit ago, where I am explaining what the problem is. All right, let's see if I fucked this up or not. Donuts are hard. No, something's definitely not right. So I'm gonna restitch this side seam. I unpicked the back bottom, so I can flip it out, and then at least like most of it stitched together. I'm not mad about having done this. I just, as soon as I started to flip it out, I was like, no. I used to have this problem with infinity scarves all the time, because obviously it looks neater if you can just stitch everything right sides together, but you can't when it's a tube, when it's a donut. Again, donuts are hard. There's a reason this is just a crop top now and not a whole dress, because I am already burnt out on this project, and I haven't even been working on it for very long. Oh no. How did I... Now what have I done? So I redid the side seam, and I had the center bottom back open, but now I think what I need to do is just... Oh, it's starting to tear. What do you do when you want nothing to do with the project anymore? I don't want to touch this anymore. Okay, welcome back. We did it. I mean, we didn't do it, actually. This is the opposite of having done it. I'm not sure what to do or make of this. I think this is still like a helpful journey to have gone on with me. It's helpful that I went on it. Hopefully it was helpful for you. This is also a lesson in letting go. It's okay. It's okay to just move on from things that you're not enjoying anymore. What's up for me in the near future? I do have my one market I'm doing June 7th at Rollins Park in Concord, New Hampshire. And then that's it. That's it. Still trucking along on website stuff. I don't have a date for that opening. I do have more bags heading to the Cat Cafe, Lazy Cat Lounge down in Lowell, Massachusetts. Probably end of the first week in June. I have a custom order to make for someone that works there, and then I'm gonna restock some stuff. So if there's anything specific you like and you're in that area, feel free to reach out to me. This is like the ideal time for you to contact me about it. Then I am in the midst of doing my Maker's Mashup hats with Sunny Fox Apothecary. Please follow them on Instagram if you want updates about that happening. I think the launch date for the auctions for those hats is July 14th or 15th. It's right in the middle of July. I've done a bunch of stuff I've never really done before, but very much pushed myself out of my comfort zone for both the hats I'm doing. And I'm really, really proud of how they're coming out. It's just getting to do stuff I don't usually let myself do. But not having markets fill up my entire summer is really giving myself the free rein to tackle this stuff. Because here's the thing, right? I'm almost entirely self-employed. I work part-time for a brewery and I do freelance stuff consistently that like I have to keep up with. But most of how I spend my days is stuff I have self-generated. And that's incredible. And truly, madly, deeply, the main pillar of me being able to do that is everybody over on Patreon. Thank you so much for the support for so many years now, letting me do this. I didn't have an outcome at the end of this. This isn't something I can sell. This project isn't going to turn into some like Instagram reel that might take off and people will hire me for cosplay commissions. Like, this is kind of where this project dies, is on the floor by my ironing board. And that doesn't have to be a crisis situation. And I can still share my experience of working on it with all of you because of Patreon. So thank you so much for wanting to support whatever this is. I think that's about it. I still have some like accessory pieces I want to make and share. I'm still going to make some kind of Ren Fair outfit. I don't have a Ren Fair to go to necessarily, but it's very much on my radar for this year because I haven't been in about 20 years. And I think that would be really fun. Is there one centrally located for enough of y'all that we can like meet up at one? Probably somewhere in Massachusetts. I don't know where other ones are. So let me know if you have favorites in the Northeast. Please let me know what you have going on, either project-wise or just like things you're doing for yourself this summer. I would love to hear all about it, just what you've been up to, whether it be craft related or just anything. Just tell me how you've been. And I will see you back here with another video in 2 Fridays. Thank you so much for hanging out. I just don't want to give my old boss any credit she doesn't deserve. She does deserve credit, but not for everything. So anyways, we're not going on the petty bus today. The train tracks are derailing.